Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. I am your host, River Lee, the founder of the Savvy Groomer. Hey, Katie, Marie, Ruth, and Krista. So awesome to see you guys live. I really appreciate when you guys can be here with me. It really does make my time more pleasurable. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It is way more fun when you guys are here with me. So let's go ahead and talk about today's topic. So today's topic is going to be, isn't that price gouging? And it was so interesting because I had a few people that were either in previous Facebook groups with me or even friends of friends. And it was such an interesting conversation that we were having where we were talking about the different prices of grooming. Hey, Janelle, great to see you here. And it was just so interesting because one word that kept coming up, well, I guess it's a phrase, is price gouging. So I thought I wanted to talk a little bit about it and then my feelings on it. And for those of you guys we've talked about price increasing a lot, please forgive me. I just think that this is so important for everyone to talk about because it just really is one of those topics that never gets old, that we all need a lot of checks on. Hey, Christy. Hey, Jennifer. Great to see you here. So let's go ahead and first things first, talk about what price gouging is. I found, actually, believe it or not, the best what it was on Wikipedia, the best definition on Wikipedia. So price gouging occurs when a seller increases the prices of goods, services, or commodities to a level much higher than is considered reasonable or fair. Usually this event occurs after a demand or supply shock. Common examples include price increases, basic necessities after natural disasters. Hey, Frida's Dog Grooming and Jamie. Yay! I'm so excited to have everyone here. This is awesome. I'm so happy to have everyone here spending some time. Like I said, if you guys have questions or comments, please feel free. I know, Ruth, you were talking about your kitty, and I can't wait to talk to you about that later because Ruth got this adorable kitty, and I'm obsessed. So I don't want to start getting all crazy. So what price gouging is basically inflating the price of a service or good during a time generally of like a natural disaster. Now, COVID is unprecedented, right? It's not a hurricane. It was not a, it wasn't a tornado. It wasn't I guess it's a natural disaster, but not of one that we could really quantify, right? Hey, Glamour Pause at home. Great to see you. I think that's Mindy. I'm not sure. So what we have to first talk about is what is fair and how do we quantify fair? So I'm going to really quickly, for you guys who have never seen my show, we're going to talk really quick about inflation, what it is, and if the grooming industry has even been keeping up with inflation. So what inflation is a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing value of many. Basically, money that used to be worth so much is now worth less because, what? Well, let me give you a perfect example. Right. So Mindy was saying like paper face masks that were $35 for a box of 50. Exactly. Or toilet paper. If you guys like have a certain toilet paper you like I like Charmin, the red one. I think it's the Ultra Strong. It's the only toilet paper I like. I will scour 30 stores to find the one that I want. But it was at one point for 4 rolls, it was $20 if you could get it, right? So that would be an example of price gouging. Now, inflation is just like how a lot of housing has gone up because the value of a dollar has gone down. Now, about the average groomer was charging about $20 in 1980. A great example of inflation is that $20 in 1980 would be worth $64.29, so it's basically $65 today. So if you had $20 in your hand, now you need to have $65 to equal that same $20. That really sucks, guys. Now, to put that also in perspective, what was $75, let's say in 1965? That would now be worth $630. Now, $75 is still $75. It's not like holding on to that $75 will make that money go up. It just means for the same purchasing power $75 had, I now need $630. Another example, and the reason I bring up the 1965 is because the average cost of a home in 1965 was $21,500. Now, right now, and now this pricing was done before COVID. The average house in the United States was $340,000. That's an enormous difference. So a house was worth $21,000, let's say, call it $22,000 in 1965, and now to buy that same house today, you would need $340,000. So this is where we really have to think about how much everything costs. Because when we're talking about price gouging, we're talking about what's fair. We first need to determine, have we been fair to ourselves as an industry? And if you guys have ever seen my stuff, you know that I have a love-hate for all of us, right? I honestly blame us as an industry for the doodle epidemic. I think if we had stopped it in its tracks, we would not have had doodles the way that we have them now. And I really think this race to the bottom, we talk about it all the time, right? We talk about how just in general in the industry, we talk about how all of these people have not raised their prices. I can't tell you how many groomers have had the same prices in 20 years, right? Or even 15 years. I was charging almost 10 years ago $55, $65 for a Shih Tzu. And I still see people 10 years later charging the same, if not less money. And I saw somebody who actually owned my grooming salon before I had taken it over, and they're charging $45 10 years later. I want you to think about anything that has not gone up in the last 10 years. Houses have gone up, daycare has gone up, everything has gone up. Whether you have human children or four-legged children, everything has gone up. And in the pet industry, we are this beautiful mix of empathetic artists, right? Now, I consider myself a technician because for me personally, I'm not that big on, making the pet beautiful. I want them cute and comfortable. And that's why I really love cat grooming, because I like a bath and blow dry. I want them to look cute and comfortable, and it's functional. So for me, it's less about the art, but still, right? We are these beautiful, empathetic people. So Mindy's saying $40 in 1980 for a Shih Tzu. So I actually looked this up just to give you guys a perspective. So for someone like Mindy who's saying $40 in 1980 for a Shih Tzu, just to put that in purchasing power, $45, now it's not 40, it's 45 in 1980, would now be about $145 today. And that's not even as of 2021. That, I believe, is either for 2019 or 2020. And we've seen estimates of 3 to 5% just in the past year. So the average dollar inflates about 2 to 3% every year. So that means that the money has, basically we need to have 221% more. Right. And Mindy's saying we still see this price today. And I think that is exactly it. As an industry, we have not been fair to ourselves. I call it the circle of suck, and you guys have probably heard me talk about this, where we have a groomer who's getting burnt out, and so what do? They hire an employee, they give their employee all the aggressive dogs, all the bad dogs, the big dogs, the dogs they don't want to do. And that employee gets tired of completely being beat up, they're tired, so what do? They go open up their own shop. Well, once they open up their own shop, and they're going to be either the same price as their old boss or maybe $5 cheaper, right? Because they're not going to be more expensive than their boss. They think, I'll be a little bit cheaper, and that's how I'll get people. And so they're cheap, and they get lots of customers, and then they're tired and they're burnt out, so they hire another groomer or they train another groomer. And we just see this cycle happening over and over and over again. And what's so interesting is that we are a female-led industry, and yet we are completely oppressing all of these women unintentionally. And I honestly believe it's because women in poverty that have big, beautiful hearts are just trying to do the best they can. So what we need to do is decide as an industry what is fair, right? So if Mindy was charging $40 in 1980, that would mean that she would need to be charging $145 today. Now, most of us are not charging $145 for a Shih Tzu. I'm lucky to see $100 for a Shih Tzu. So what we have to decide as an industry is, what are we willing to accept? What is okay? What are we willing to tolerate? And when I talk about doodles, I don't dislike doodles. I don't dislike doodles at all. What I don't like is I think that they're really harming the industry. I was talking to someone recently, and I've been grooming over 15 years now. Not quite, I feel old when I say that. But when I started grooming, what it was is that you wanted to go from a bather to a groomer, because the bathers got the Goldens, the Shepherds, the Labs, the Great Danes, the big wool, the Samoyeds. You know, you would trim up the feet or something. That's how you would learn to scissor. But when you got to be the groomer, you did nothing but small dogs. Once in a blue moon, a poodle, but you didn't get a lot of standard poodles. You didn't get a lot of Old English sheepdogs. You really didn't get a lot of those. And if you're in an area with a lot of farm dogs, again, most of your farm dogs, either they're matted once a year shave downs, or they were bath dogs. You know, and either way, you know, I hate to say, but a once a year shave down is a great way to teach someone how to groom, because you can't mess it up. You just 10 strip it, and if it looks like crap, it was going to look like crap anyway, unfortunately. And it's a big dog, so you have to worry about that. But anyway, I digress. So with these, what we have to remember is that now it's 50-50 big and small dogs. And so with these bigger dogs, groomers are more exhausted. In my class called Pricing in Points, I teach a point system, and a point system helps us wrap our head around why some days I do 5 dogs and I can't get up. I go home and I curl up on the couch, and I'm too tired to even eat, never mind shower, right? Versus I can do 5 dogs and I'm perfectly good. And it's because not every dog's the same. We know that, but things have changed so rapidly. You know, I did a lot of Yorkies and Shih Tzus and maybe some Malteses, but that was like the main 2 breeds of dogs that I did. And if we did do poodles, they didn't get much of anything fancy. They might get like a little poodly kind of head, maybe clean feet, clean face, but it wasn't crazy. You know, and again, I never worked at any place that had certified groomers. I always worked at corporate, or I worked at like a doggy daycare. I worked at, various places that were fairly low key. So anyway, the reason I mention that is because if we are charging as an industry between $50 and $100 for a Shih Tzu, and a Shih Tzu takes the same effort, and I call it a 2-point dog because it's 1 point to bathe, do the nails, the ears, anal glands if you do that, etc. And then 1 point for the actual haircut. That's a 2-point dog. It should take about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour and 15, 2-point dog. That means that the average doodle is 4, 8, maybe even 10 points, because they do have a harder hair type. They tend to have tons of cowlicks. They tend to have different textures of hair all over the dog. They tend to not be the best behaved. You know, the owners love them, but I tell everyone, it's like if you watch The Big Bang Theory, it's like if Penny and Sheldon Cooper had a baby. Like they're just not well behaved, and it's because they have that exuberance of whatever breed, whether it's a herding breed, you know, or a sporting breed. And then you take in a poodle who's basically autistic, and they're very sensitive dogs, and you mix those together, and they're generally not well-bred examples of it. So again, I'm not hating on those dogs, but when we expect young groomers to do those dogs all day, every day, they're getting burned out. So what does that have to do with price gouging? So if that Shih Tzu, a 2-point dog, compared to a 4 to 10-point doodle, that means that the Shih Tzu, $50 to $100, that doodle should be on the very low end, $100, which is what Petco PetSmart charges. And we all agree $50 is too low for a Shih Tzu. But on the high end, the $100 dog, Again, that should be between $200 and $400+ for that doodle. And we're not doing that. Now, someone might say that's price gouging. But I don't think so. I think that's very fair. I think if you're going to break my back, potentially ruin my body, because anyone who's been a groomer long enough, your hands hurt, your back hurts, your body hurts. It's really cute, the people that come that, whether they own a grooming business and then they go ahead and they start working in it. Like, I love that. I'm like, if I coach a few people that are absolutely, they go and open a business. They don't have any grooming experience. And I encourage them. I've coached them and I said, please go work in your business. Learn to do this, because then you can really understand your employees' concerns. And every time that's happened, they go, man, this is a hard job. I'm like, it is. It's a really hard job. Mindy's saying it's the pet parents. They are uneducated. I love this conversation. I'm glad. I do think they are uneducated. But again, I think that people do things for two reasons. One, because it's the right thing to do. And then two, because it's financially inconvenient. So here's the thing. The reason no one buys a Mercedes or a Ferrari, for the most part, is not the purchase price, right? It's not the purchase price. It's the maintenance. We have made the maintenance on these doodles and these difficult breeds way, way, way too cheap. So this is what's going to happen, right? Is that either as an industry, we're going to increase these prices, really force people to consider what they're doing and do that. And the only way we can do that is through pricing. Hey, Candace, great to see you. Minnie's saying it's the upkeep. Absolutely. It's the maintenance. And if we required every 4 weeks and we required doodles at $200 to $400, they would stop getting them. They would stop getting them because they'd be like, wow, this is way too expensive. And so I have no problem against doing big dogs. But if you want to ask me about taking care of the people in my industry, we need to significantly raise prices. And we can't compete with Petco or PetSmart. Petco PetSmart loses money. And oftentimes they are charging more than the average groomer. In my price increase masterclass, we talk about this. I have them go into Petco PetSmart because they both offer online booking. And I said, all right, pull this up. It's go ahead and see how much it would cost. And a lot of times they're shocked. It's like the base price is $40 or $50, but then they add another $20 for that add-on package. And now that $40, $50 is really $60 or $70. And we should be 20 or 30% more. If I go to Supercuts, or if I go to Fantastic Sam, or if I go to, I'm trying to think of like what the other one's name is, the like cheapy hair place, like Great Clips. I expect the regular salon to be more money, right? Jamie's saying same with horses, not the price, it's the maintenance and money and time. Hell yes. A girl on her vision board has a black Arabian. That's what she wants. Again, I've had Morgans, I've had Arabs, I've had thoroughbreds. And the reason your girl doesn't have a horse right now, I love them so much, but they are expensive and they could just trip in the field and you're like, well, that's $1,000, and it's just basic stuff. So that's it, and that's the thing. And horse people, if you guys are not familiar with the horse industry, you have people that will spend tons and tons and tons of money on their horses and people that basically duct tape everything. They're like the cheapest people on the planet. So it's going to be that same, whether it's in the pet industry for the, small pets like dogs and cats, or for horse people. Candace is saying 100 years ago, pets were for the wealthy. Absolutely. Listen, we literally have living, breathing companions. I mean, this is really, no one gets accidentally pregnant with a Shih Tzu or Doodle. You know what I mean? Ruth was saying mine was $30 more, Shih Tzu, $51, and then $84. Absolutely. Christy's saying, as of 2 months ago, we stopped grooming all doodles, too labor and time intensive. Owners wouldn't compensate first time, so buy. Exactly. And I think what's going to keep happening is as the industry decides what is fair, then we're going to stop using terms to each other. And I know talking to my audience is like preaching to the choir. But what's awesome, guys, is you get to share this video with other groomers you know. I do this to help the industry. As you know, for my YouTube channel, it's not monetized yet. I hope someday it will be, just because it adds a little bit of extra passive income for me, because I do give time for this. I do give you guys my all, and it's really important to me that we do this for the industry. But saying things to each other like that's price gouging, or you're being unfair, you're really bending people over a barrel, is completely inappropriate. So right now I have a leased car. It is a 2019 Chevy Equinox Premier Diesel. When I got it, I didn't know whether or not I would like the car, but long story short, it's nothing fancy. Well, it's got a lot of amenity, but it's not fancy. But it is now worth, so I could buy it today for $20,000 and sell it for between $26,000 and $30,000. So much. Think about that. That means that car is worth 30 to almost 50% more than what I could pay for it. That's nuts. That right there, whether you consider that inflation or just supply and demand, right? Is that price gouging? If they took my car, let's say I turned in my lease and I said, no, I don't want it for some stupid reason. And they're going to turn around and sell it for $30,000. Is that price gouging? Think about that. That car was worth $20,000. That's what they estimated my car to be worth, was $20,000. And now they're going to sell it for $30,000. Why is it that us as an industry cannot understand that for us? I know people that have bought their house for $200,000 less than 10 years ago, and they're now selling it for $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. If we as an industry cannot wrap our head around the fact that we need more groomers, and the way we get more groomers is to build an industry of respect and that we make good money. When we have wealthy groomers, they can hire people. When we have wealthy groomers, we're going to have other people go, wow, I want to do this too. And we don't want them to come in thinking they're going to play with puppies all day, because that ain't how it goes. Hey, Christy, how are you? Oh, sorry, Christy. Yep. Candace is saying, I read about you so much. One of my groomer's friends thinks I should marry you. Candace, you and Ruth are in good company. Listen, I love you guys, and I feel like I'm becoming a swear in some of you guys' households. That's why I say just share the videos, because a lot of time, it's like when I used to do Dave Ramsey stuff, like, when you make somebody else like a bad name, they're like, oh, this person's so annoying. But when they listen to you passively, it sinks in. It really sinks in. And it is really frustrating with other groomers who are not ready to step up and change. Because as an industry, we have to change. That's it. Like, we're losing all of our people. We need over 50,000 people. That's a lot of people to train. Rita saying, best thing you ever said to me was, wow, that's expensive. It is about how that client values what we do. Absolutely. I've learned to not take it personal. I know that I don't want them as a client. Right? If someone says to you, wow, that's expensive, I mean, I would just say, no, it's not. I would just say that. Or why? Because they may not understand what we do. But by them saying something that rude, if you kind of push back a little bit and stand your ground, then it forces them to really kind of step up. Because imagine me, you saying, oh, that's expensive. And I'm like, no, it's not. Actually, it's not. You'd be like, oh, okay. Right? Liz is saying, I started charging hourly for them. It was only fair way to charge for them because there is such a huge spectrum of coat type and owner participation. $20 an hour higher than regularly. Absolutely. So, and this is where in my points and pricing class, if you are a solopreneur, hourly is fine. But once you start adding in staff, it gets a little complicated because Liz is amazing. We're not even going to lie here. Liz is like my soul sister. We were drinking wine in Atlanta and we just bonded. Like, she's like my, she's like my second mom now. She's amazing. And if her and I were grooming the same Shih Tzu, she would probably do it way way faster than me because your girl is ADD and, and that's it. And that's where deciding what this is worth is really difficult. And I think hourly, a lot of people who, if you're going to be a solopreneur, if you're going to be mobile, hourly is great. But just remember, it could take me 2 hours to groom a matted schnauzer in a schnauzer pattern who screams bloody murder at the same time, right? So take 2 hours. That dog taking 2 hours is way less effort than the same dog who's not mad and doesn't scream the entire time, but just maybe has like crappier hair, right? So maybe it's just like, like those schnauzers that you've just clippered and they're super soft and cottony. That dog may be harder to scissor, but does he take the same amount of effort as the dog who takes 2 hours, but does that like screaming, schnauzer scream? Like, I'm trying not to hear it in my, like, I'm literally getting a headache thinking about it in my head. That's how bad it is. That's one thing I really hated. And I will never miss going from dog to cat. Kristen saying, the most expensive in the small town at the moment. I just opened solo salon and set the tone from day one. People pay with a smile because I'm confident in myself. And they feel good for paying it. Absolutely. Listen, guys, 9 times out of 10, we talk them out of paying us what's fair, unfortunately. Yeah. Mindy's saying, I just say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. Marie's saying, that is what we do as well. $100 an hour for large dog, $80 an hour for medium dogs, flat rate $70 or $90 for small dogs, $80 to $95 next year. And again, guys, I don't have any problem with hourly, but just remember that you can do 3 dogs that take the same amount of time and one exhausts you, like completely emotionally exhausts you. And then one that just took a long time because you had to let the coat set. Like I know with my standard, especially when I did her in my van, I don't know why, but like I had to wait for her coat to settle. And again, this is not my forte, but like I had to have her wait, and then it was easier to groom her. But so I might need to pay for that time, but it's not the same as a dog who's thrashing around. Megan's saying, I had a woman call to tell me our prices were ridiculously expensive last week. Thanks, complete stranger. One thing you can always say is, thank you. I'll take that under advisement. But it's just really, again, can you imagine being the person with the gallon of milk going up to the cashier at Whole Foods being like, why is this $6? That's ridiculous. You'd be like, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. What do you want me to do about it? Hey, Adriana, great to see you. Marie's saying we recently got $175 for a doodle. It took an hour and 45 minutes. Right. But remember, if we want to keep our payroll under 30%, let's do 175. I'm going to divide it by 2 because I'm lazy. Times 0.3. That means that if I were to keep my payroll under 30%, I'd be looking at about $26.25 for that doodle. The way I would do that, and again, I could do this better, but I'm lazy and you'll forgive me. So that would be, that dog would have been charged $200 for 2 hours. So we can do that. So we're going to divide it by 200. It's $100 an hour. And then we're going to do 0.3. So we have $30 to pay any and all payroll. So if this is a groomer, if they need a second person, if there is a receptionist or a bather, that's all we have for payroll for that time. And that's where it really gets tricky. And technically anything over 50 pounds for OSHA, you either need like hydraulic things or things that no one has to lift, or you have to have 2 people in there. Yeah, so Marie is saying we are mobile with no employees or payroll. That's great, but just remember, if you ever want to add somebody, or if you ever have to add somebody, as you guys know, my VA found out that she had cancer, and she found out very quickly. I know if you know my story with my twins, I had to take a step back. And don't forget, if it's your husband and you, that means that you guys together are making $30 an hour. If that's 2 people, that means you each get 15. If you were to pay 30%, which is what you should be paying. And we talk about all this in my price increase class. And I feel like we don't have time to go over this. That's why I have 6 hours literally of content in my price increase class. Ruth and Candace have both been in the price increase class. I'm sure they can give, that they'll tell you, like, there's a lot of information. I feel like there's no way for me to give you all that information so quick. Mindy's saying, tell your doctor he's too expensive. Exactly. And even if you do, he's like, okay. So you can go to another doctor. And you can absolutely price shop. If I have a chiropractor and I'm like, this chiropractor charges more than I want to charge, but it's generally not the money, right? It's generally, I don't feel like I'm being valued, or I don't feel like I'm getting a value. Candace is saying time, size, coat type, custom clip pattern in consideration. Absolutely. There's so many things that go into pricing. And I think hourly is better than flat, unless if you charge way higher, then flat is fine. But there's so many things that come into consideration. Janelle saying, I only take doodles up to 35 pounds. I start at 140. Still immobile. My regular grooms start at 70. Exactly. And so as an industry, our goal is to get everyone up, up, up. Now, obviously, depending upon where you live, there are definitely cheaper places. Moving from Rhode Island to South Carolina, I save about $2,000 a month just to live. And it's crazy, but do I think that's going to be everywhere forever? No, everything's going up. The people here are talking about how you could have bought a house for 150. That same house for 150 is now going for like 280, 350. So everything's going up. So we want to make sure that as things go up, we are protecting ourselves. And that's why once we figured out what was fair, we can then tackle, is this price gouging or is it not? Good, bad, or indifferent, when everything is going up, I must also go up. And if I was not charging appropriately for the last 20 years, the last 10 years, the last 5 years, because my prices were based on being $5 less than the groomer down the street who hasn't increased her prices in 20 years, well, then as an industry, we have to stand up and say, whoa, we done goofed. We're super sorry. We're going to fix this. Petco PetSmart really have not increased their prices in 15 years. I mean, a Shih Tzu or a Yorkie base price was between $35 and $50 ever since I've been a groomer. They might have gone up $5. But again, they lose money when they groom. They don't care. Their goal is to get you in to buy other services. Ruth is saying she highly suggests my price increase class. Thank you, my friend. So I want you to really consider that. So today's topic today, guys, was Isn't That Price Gouging? Hopefully, after having this conversation, you've really heard that it's not. It's not price gouging. It is us correcting the market. It is us finally saying enough is enough. I'm a professional. I deserve to be priced as a professional. And I want to see the average groomer, not mobile, salon. My dream is in the next 2 to 5 years that the average Shih Tzu in a salon go for about $100. My goal is that the average mobile go for $125 to $150 for a Shih Tzu. And that is a dog done every 4 weeks. That is a dog done in the best possible way. Nothing super fancy, just treated well and done well. That is my goal. And I want to see doodles at $300 or $400. So, I'm a one-woman crusade. What can I say? But I don't expect this to happen overnight, but I do see changes being made. And it's not price gouging. If we were charging, like Mindy, $45 in 1980, we should be charging $145 today. I want you guys to really let that sink in. If we were charging $45 in 1980, which a lot of these older groomers were 40 years ago, then we should be charging, just to keep up with inflation, $145. Never mind how much better we treat animals. Not that we didn't treat them well before, but it was just different. I remember my mom used to treat her dog like furniture that ate, and now he's like her pride and joy. We have better shampoo. We handle animals better. We treat animals better. They just have a better life. Candace is saying that would be our fault too. Maybe they call the cheapest salon and think that's what they should charge. Absolutely. I would always rather be the most expensive than the cheapest. And the race to the bottom is what's killing our industry. most people are not increasing the prices every year. And if you ask the average groomer, and I'm not picking on anyone, Janelle, don't take that the wrong way, but where did you come up with $70? Like, where is that figure from? It feels like groomers just pick numbers that sound good and they don't actually do all the work. And the price increase masterclass, and yes, I'm going to do a sales pitch because, that's how I roll. We talk about how to come up with these numbers. We talk about how much have you invested in your business? How much do you need in sinking funds? How much do you need an emergency fund? If you had to hire somebody to cover you because you have cancer, because your, spouse, gets their dream job and wants to move across country, because there's a natural disaster and you have to move, whatever it is, you need that money set aside. You need your business built in a way that if you had to pay someone to cover you, you could afford to do that in a livable way. And, again, not to be a jerk, but at $70 a dog, right? And if I were to keep my payroll under 30%, I could pay a groomer $21 for that $70 dog that takes an hour. If you went into the grooming groups, how much will they tell you that a groomer needs to make? $30, $40, $60 an hour, right? Right. So Janelle's saying, I've always worked for others. I checked prices in my areas and I tried to find a price that worked. Right. But what makes that price work? Right? Because what if that person that you got another price from hasn't had an increase in 10 years? Where did they get their numbers from? It doesn't make any sense. Like what we're considering, like we're trying to do this like it's comps, right? Like it's real estate comps. But it's like, there's this great psychological experiment where they have a monkey climb a tree, and I can't remember if they like spray with a fire hose or they zap it, but the monkey climbs a tree, they do this, and then every time a monkey does it, they zap them, and so anyway, so what they start doing is they start replacing the monkeys. So every time they add a new monkey, the monkey goes to climb the tree because there's like a banana or something in it, and then the other monkeys start bringing the monkey down, right? So there's a banana and they know this monkey's going to get zapped or sprayed with a fire hose, whatever it is, and they're pulling him down. Well, at one point, they've replaced all the original monkeys. So no one's ever been zapped or hit with a fire hose. I can't remember what it was. It was something horrific, though, because that's what all these psychological experiments used to do on animals. But they were all pulling these other monkeys down, even though they didn't know why. And I really feel like that is exactly why... It is exactly why, all of these things are. Megan said, they say 50% exactly. I know, Megan, then you're like, what? So tell me, how much is 50%? Is it 30,000, 40,000, 60,000? Marie's saying around here, 15 mobiles in a town of 300,000 people. Other mobiles around here, 70 for small dogs. We're 75 next year. There may be some less. I can't keep up with 50. See, that's bullshit. I call bullshit. I don't want to hear it. I'm so tired of everyone being like, I can't do this. It's kind of like saying, I'm in my 30s. I'm not young and hot anymore. So I just, I have to take what I can get. I can't compete with young women, right? I should just take a date for whatever someone will do it. I like to take me out to Capitol Grill and nice fancy restaurants, but, I can't expect a guy to take me somewhere nice. We would never say that. We'd be like, feel empowered, feel like you're worth. I had a grooming salon with 6 other grooming salons in a 2-mile radius. And one of them was owned by Mario DeFonte, who happened to be basically like a Sue Zecco or a Jody Murphy. And I charged more than him. This is all in our heads. It's not true. It's not true that you can't compete. That's not true at all. And if all the other mobiles are 70 for small dogs, what if you were 100? Right? What if you were $150? What's interesting is like, it sounds crazy, but let's say you have 200 clients that you do every 8 weeks. If you start charging $140 and requiring 4 weeks, even if you had half of your clientele leave, you'd be making the same amount of money. And I think sometimes we just don't do the math. And again, I feel so bad because I'm like, this is why I wish people would take my price increase class. because you would not believe how much. She's saying one of them charges $40 for a rat terrier. Our minimum is $55. If already in the area, $65, we travel to you. Yeah. And at $55, you're not making, you could not pay someone minimum wage if they were a groomer. You have 2 people working in a van and it's not sustainable. And I know that sucks. I'm not calling you out, but this is the perpetual thing that we're telling ourselves. And it's not true. It's not true. Even if I have coaching clients where the average mobile is $75 or $80 and they're charging $120 to $160 and they're full. It's all marketing. It's all understanding why people choose people. Christy's saying, I pay the same rent as Chipotle, Domino's, etc., and the same payroll, taxes, and hourly pay. Why should grooming be cheap for the client? I think it just comes down to what's a good value and how do we create that value. Megan's saying we start $70 for a small full grooms in the salon. We are new mobiles charging less than me, and it's sad. Exactly. Don't forget about your retirement. You are setting yourself up for failure. Again, it's like we all want to, these people, there's been groomers that have not increased prices for 20, 30 years, right? And then if they do increase, they're going to increase maybe $20, right? And so we have the opportunity to come in and be either the most expensive or showcase what we're doing, And again, Maria, I want to challenge you. If I said to you, if I was in your area and I said, okay, I'm going to charge $140, would you feel like that's pricing? Would you feel like that's price gouging? Or would you be like, oh, cool, I'm going to do that too? Or are you afraid? Right? And oftentimes it's that fear of creating this artificial threshold. Houses went up $100,000. My car went up between $6,000 and $10,000, guys. And we are increasing our prices by $5. Does anyone else feel how nuts this feels? Maria, I would really challenge you. You don't have to sign up for my class. You can talk to other people that have been in my class, but basically everyone who's in my class increases their price between $20 to over, I have one person who increased her prices by $100, and it's just because her area went up significantly. And there's always going to be competition, and you've got to remember that competition is good. That means you have an opportunity to shine, because when everyone looks the same and you stand out. Do you know how many people talk about grooming businesses, and yet you're here with me? You are here with me on a 7:30 at night, almost 8 o'clock at night on a Monday. You're here with me because what I have to say speaks to you. Janelle's saying it is a mindset. I've been grooming over 30 years, and this is the most I've ever changed. Absolutely. Ever charged. Absolutely. And it is. We have to change because we cannot keep up. Right? Candace saying I was 120 the highest around. Took Rivers. Oh, I'm so proud. Sorry. She was $120 the highest around. Took Rivers price increase masterclass, and she is now $150. Absolutely. And that's your base price. And I remember Candace and I did 3 one-on-one calls, and we have, I think, one more left. And it's all about changing it. Marie's saying I would say, oh, cool, I would like to do that as well. I do not think any one of us are price gouging, but just need cash flow in our area. People won't book if it's higher than 75. That's what you tell yourself. Because if people are picking you because of your price, you're doing it wrong. If people are picking you because of your price, you're doing it wrong. So really quickly, and then I will go ahead and leave, is when people would ask me how much I charged, I would tell them flat out, no one has ever chosen my services because of how much I charge. Would you like to know why people choose us? If people are picking you because of your price, you are doing it wrong. And I'm so sorry to say that. I know that kind of hurts everyone's hearts, but you have to consider that, Janelle saying, I'm setting aside money for your class. I was off an entire year. I started my mobile in the May of this year. Girl, You got to take it easy. This is the last price increase of the year. We're going to be doing, it's going to start the 4th of October, September 30th. Until then, you can have, when you sign up, you get one free one-on-one with me. And I promise I'm nicer. Candace and Ruth will tell you, I'm actually very, very nice people. Mindy's saying, what's the best way to tell your client you're raising the price? We do a whole section, we do a whole hour on communicating price increases in the Price Increase Masterclass. And we can always talk more about that maybe next week. You know, and it's really, and that's the thing though, really quick guys, like the Price Increase Masterclass is $600. And I want you to consider this. If you raised your price, let's say you groom 100 dogs, right? A month. And again, you can do this without me. You can always do this without me. When you take my class, you understand how to price, why to price, all of that. And it's so important to learn how to price appropriately, because then as things shift in your business, you can shift with them. But guys, if you charge an extra $20, and again, you don't have to use it with me, but if you ask anyone who's been in the class, it really makes you think. It forces you to look at your numbers and actually learn why you're pricing things. And, you know, a lot of times we think nothing's bad happened, therefore we're fine. But, you know, especially if you're mobile, if you crash your van, can you afford to buy a new one today? Do you have $30,000 to put on a $100,000 grooming van? Or if you did a DIY, can you be down for 6 months while you try to build another one? But if you did $20 a dog and you groom 100 dogs a month, it's $2,000, guys. This class is $600. So when you do your price increase, even if you increase $20, half your clients, 50 clients, you'll make your money back. You know, I'm really proud of this class. It really does teach you to not, you know, of course we're going to look at our community, of course we're going to look at our competition, but really understand the mechanics of how much to charge and then how to communicate that. Because it's not a simple answer. There's so many different factors, and it really, there's no cookie cutter answers. So guys, if you guys are interested in signing up for this, I'm going to put really quickly the sales page. So, and if you guys are not quite ready to invest in this price increase class, go ahead and, you know, hop into my free Facebook group, you know, Savvy Pet Professionals, facebook.com/group/Savvy Groomer. There we talk about personal finance, business, and lifestyle. You're more than welcome to tag me in that group, and I will always do my best to answer any questions you have. You know, as Savvy Groomer is growing, I'm not always available, but I try my very best to be. That stinks. You know, Mindy's saying her bus has been down for 6, I'm assuming months, needing an engine. That sucks, man. It's getting harder and harder to, I know somebody who just went to order their van and they were told 20 weeks. So it is getting harder and harder and harder. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Again, like I said, if you guys are interested in signing up for the class, I would highly recommend it. If you're not, come into the Facebook group, watch the YouTube channel. I have so many videos, guys. I have hundreds of hours of videos for you to learn. I'm here for you guys. You know, and that's just it. You know, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. The way I always do everything is, you know, when you're ready, we'll be here. You know, there's so much content, you know, on my free YouTube channel. There's so much content on my blog right now. Is a little old. I got to work on my blog, you know, but we have our, you know, my brain's frying. It's late. You know, we have so much free stuff, you know, so, and if you do want to buy something, you're more than welcome to buy the business membership where you get one workshop a month. That's only $35 a month. You can hop in a group mentorship. That is only open from the 1st to the 5th. And it's really nice to be in a group of people who are like-minded and ready to grow. You know, we're having more master classes coming next year. We're going to have one for membership, hiring and managing staff. And then we're actually going to do a 6-week launch or relaunch your business masterclass that I'm super excited about. But we have so many things to offer you, and I cannot wait. Ugh, Mindy's saying $8,000 to repair her engine. That's just nuts, man. But ready? It makes sense. It just stinks because that's how you make your living. Anyway, guys, I digress. Oh, Ruth, I love you too. You're so sweet. Make my heart so full. So today was Isn't That Price Gouging, where we talked about pricing and how to best work on that. As always, guys, feel free to share, feel free to like, feel free to subscribe. It helps my channel grow, and it helps me continue to share and help other groomers who need this information, right? All right, guys. So as always, happy grooming.